My head is fucking spinning with this one. Square Enix have approved and are currently well into the development of a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale game for mobile. Now, if you didn't know this already and haven't checked out the trailer, you may be feeling the same way that I felt when my friend Jimmy dropped the information in my Discord. I was thinking, very skeptical, but still interested to see where they're going with this, because depending what they do with it, this could breathe new life into the Battle Royale genre. A Battle Royale set in the Final Fantasy VII world made by Square Enix. Like, you've got to be thinking, this shit's going to be out of the box. I don't know, like maybe a hack and slash style battle royale where you find graded materia in the loot drops, kind of in the same way that you find graded weapons in Apex. Or maybe they figured out a way to do a turn-based battle royale. I don't know. Something cool. Just something that isn't another Fortnite clone. Well, you can stop thinking like that, because that's exactly what this is. This is Final Fantasy Fortnite. I'm just completely baffled and bemused about what's gone here. How has this been allowed to be created? Now listen, there are a lot of people that take the legacy of Final Fantasy VII very, very seriously. So much so that even the remake stirred them up the wrong way by changing plot lines and altering the combat. Yes, Jimmy, I'm talking to you. And you know what? I can understand it. This game was a monumental and incredible leap forward for RPG games, and for many in the West, this was our very first experience of a game like this. It's fair to say that Final Fantasy VII has changed lives, and for those people, I can understand their protective nature regarding the content and perception of Final Fantasy VII. Here's the thing though, I'm not one of those people. Yes, Final Fantasy VII was a huge part of my gaming childhood, but I was so wrapped up in Metal Gear Solid that Final Fantasy VII perhaps didn't hit me as hard as it should have, and I was too young to really appreciate its merits. It was only going back to it when I was a little bit older that it really dawned on me how much of a crucial part of gaming history this game was. I also really loved the remake. You may recall me giving it Game of the Year in my awards video back in December. But all this aside, even me, someone who's not overly protective of the legacy of Final Fantasy VII, the announcement of this Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale has even me bubbling with pure rage. Look, I totally understand a company wanting to get involved in the mobile gaming market. It's an exceptionally lucrative market to be in. In 2020, the top 5 grossing video games were all mobile games, and out of the top 10, just 2 of them were not mobile games. That was Warzone and League of Legends. So I can't blame them. Literally everyone wants a slice of the mobile gaming market. I mean, look at this. This is a real game where you can live out your wildest fantasies of being a Primark employee. Anyway, as a business and one that actually creates games, it's almost impossible to look at the mobile game market and how lucrative it is and not be tempted to get involved. So whilst a lot of people frown upon the idea of our favourite video game developers creating mobile games, I happen to believe it's actually a pretty smart idea. Providing though that you actually have an idea for the game. Now, I don't claim to be a business expert in any way. After all, I am sat here squeezing out YouTube content around my full-time job. I'm hardly fucking Jeff Bezos, but even from my point of view, this game seems really ill thought out from a business standpoint and from a game standpoint. Let's imagine for a second that we work for Nintendo EPD, the dev team responsible for the Splatoon games. So one of the senior management team comes to us and says, "Look, the mobile games market is booming, and we want a concept for a Splatoon mobile game to do 2 things. 1, to give our existing fans a new experience, and 2, to attract new fans to the Splatoon game series." Okay, cool. So that's our brief. So we look back over the 2 Splatoon games that are already out and the 3rd one that's in development, and we think, what could we do with this game that's different to the main series but will also appeal to a mobile audience? Suddenly a light bulb simultaneously goes off in all our heads, and we all in tandem say, "I've got it. A Splatoon Battle Royale." So we go back to our senior management team and we say, right, we've got a concept, we're going to do a Splatoon Battle Royale game for mobile. And the first thing they say is, okay, why? Well, firstly, because Splatoon is a shooting game. Our current audience is already here because they enjoy shooting games. They enjoy our game mechanics, they enjoy the concepts, and therefore a Battle Royale isn't too far removed from what we're already doing, and we believe that our current audience would still enjoy this mobile experience. And secondly, from our standpoint, we know that there's a massively untapped market of Fortnite, PUBG, Apex players that all love the Battle Royale concept that have perhaps missed out on the Splatoon series, and we feel it's an excellent opportunity to bring some of those players over to the main franchise. The senior management team then look at each other for a brief moment of hesitance before saying, "Glorious work, a fantastic idea, here's a sizable pay rise." And then we go make the game and we all live happily ever after. All jokes aside though, that makes perfect sense to me. The main Splatoon series is already formulated around a simple concept. The main point of the game is to shoot. The lore of the game isn't especially deep. There's not really any other concepts worth drawing on. I.e., given the full scope of everything that Splatoon has to offer, a Splatoon Battle Royale game seems like the most sensible idea for a mobile game. Now let's roll over to Square Enix, to the Final Fantasy department, and specifically the team working on this game. Which part of this makes any goddamn sense to you? Firstly, let's talk the concept. It's set 30 years before the events of the original and seems to be set in various Final Fantasy VII locales and centers around a group of enhanced soldiers who play a very important role in the Final Fantasy VII story. Do they? Do they really? In a game set 30 years before the events of the game that we all love? Firstly, what makes you think that fans of Final Fantasy VII want to play a third-person shooting game set in the world of Final Fantasy VII? And secondly, what makes you think that people who play this game are going to want to come over and play this game when they could just carry on playing that game? The two don't match. The puzzle pieces don't fit. I'm not saying that people who play Final Fantasy games don't like Battle Royale games too. I'm just saying that's not why I'm here. See, when I want groceries, I go to the grocery store. When I want new clothes, I go to the clothes store. I'd find it very difficult to get my groceries from the clothes store. It sounds obvious, but that's what's going on here. As a fan of Fortnite, I go in the game for some light-hearted, quick and colourful fun. As a fan of Final Fantasy, I come here for the deep and heartfelt stories, the complex and intricate gameplay mechanics. Why would I play the Final Fantasy one when I could just play Fortnite, a more well-refined and suited version of the game? Imagine it the other way around. Imagine if Fortnite made a deep and powerful RPG with a huge amount of lore, a tale of this guy's journey to save the world, battling his own demons and discovering his destiny, complex and nuanced battle system with a steep learning curve. Do you think this kid is going to play it? Is he fuck? And even if this kid did want to jump into the world of RPGs, do you think any respectable RPG fan would recommend that game over Final Fantasy VII? It's utter lunacy, is this. When you play a Final Fantasy game, for better or for worse, no one can tell me that they don't feel the pride, the passion, the life and soul that's put into every single Final Fantasy title. Even the Final Fantasy spin-off games like Dissidia and Chocobo Racing still manage to preserve and respect the Final Fantasy name. But this is the dictionary definition of bastardizing. It's a cash grab, a money hunt. The thought of seeing a Final Fantasy character flossing or a Chocobo joke reminiscent of Victory Royale or Chicken Dinner makes me literally want to throw up in my mouth. Plus, it's set 30 years before the events of Final Fantasy VII, so Cloud, Tifa, Sephiroth, Biggs, Wedge, pretty much everyone else wasn't even born yet. The model just doesn't make any sense. This is akin to Pokemon making a Battle Royale where Pikachu just cranks out his Car 98 and 360 no-scope to Jigglypuff from 200 meters away. No, worse yet, this is like a Pokemon Battle Royale set 30 years before Pokemon existed, so it's just a bunch of randoms running around shooting up Lavender Town. It doesn't make sense. Stop. Just fucking stop. Did Pokemon do that? No. Pokemon created Pokemon Go, a mobile game that maintains their values and credibility whilst also offering a new experience for current fans and exposing the brand to new fans. I mean, how many new fans do you think Pokemon Go brought in? Shitload. I can think of a number of alternative mobile games that Square Enix could have made that would be more respectful and more suitable as a Final Fantasy VII spin-off mobile game. Final Fantasy Materia Hunter. It's an AR game like Pokemon Go, but you're hunting for materia. Materia is hidden around in the real world, and the materia buffs your character, and you can battle other people in turn-based combat using the materia that you find. 1. Final Fantasy VII snowboarding. It's a basic concept, but it was there. It was in the original game. It makes sense. It could be fun. Final Fantasy VII Chocobo Farm. It's like Farmville, but it's a chocobo farm. You have to breed and raise chocobos, and then you sell them or rent them out. Final Fantasy VII Heaven. It's a bar management sim. You are making food and drinks for the good people of Sector 7, running happy hour, and of course, maintaining the secret hideout for Avalanche. I mean, come on. This is easy. It's so fucking easy. Look at the graphics as well. It's just piss poor. I'm completely disillusioned by the decision to make this thing, and it really doesn't look good for a company that so many of us hold in such high regard. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.